Xia Kingdom, Kangmang Ridge, Qianshan Village. A barren land with harsh terrain and infertile soil, years of drought had made the already impoverished village even worse. Every household struggled to get enough to eat, and one meal a day had become the norm. My name is Zhongyu, and I am a transmigrator. In my previous life, I was a special mercenary who lived on the edge of death. Relying on my wilderness survival and hunting skills, I could barely scrape by in these dangerous mountains, and I was also the only person in the village who could hunt game every day and not worry about starving to death. At this moment inside the house, my uncle was clutching my hand tightly, his face full of earnest pleading. Behind him stood two slender young girls, delicate and pretty in appearance, though their sallow complexions and frail bodies made it obvious at a glance that they had long suffered from malnutrition. Xiaoyu, just take it as your uncle begging you. Please take these two girls in. My uncle's voice choked with emotion. You're the only one in the whole village who can eat his fill. Everyone else can barely take care of themselves and simply can't afford to raise them. Their father entrusted them to me before he left, but I really don't have the means anymore. You're not getting any younger either, so this could count as settling things for you too. I looked troubled and spoke honestly. Uncle, you know my situation. The grain I have left at home is only enough for me alone to hold on. And if there are two more mouths to feed, I won't be able to bear it either. Fierce beasts run rampant in Kangmang Ridge, and going into the mountains to hunt is a near-death experience. I risk my life running around every day, and all I get in return is barely enough food and clothing. So I simply don't have any extra rations to help anyone else, much less take out a bride price to marry a wife. No bride price at all. As long as you give them a bite to eat and keep them alive, that's enough. My uncle pleaded bitterly, his eyes full of sincerity. Looking at the old man's reddened eyes, I finally softened. When I first came to this world, it was my uncle who gave me a house to stay in. I had always kept that favor in my heart. After weighing it for a moment, I finally nodded. Fine, I'll take them in. My uncle instantly let out a sigh of relief, joy appearing on his face. He quickly had the two girls thank me and told them to live well with me from now on, then hurried away at once, afraid I might change my mind. I closed the door and looked at the two timid girls before me. What are your names? The girl in front had graceful brows and eyes, and a pair of clear, bright black pupils. Even with her sallow complexion, she could not hide the delicacy in her bones, like a white lotus battered by wind and rain, yet still clean and pure. She spoke softly. My name is Lin Wanner, and this is my younger sister Lin Xiaoqing. Thank you for taking us in. To repay you, I can become your wife. It's just that my younger sister is still young. Could you wait 2 more years before? Beside her, Lin Xiaoqing clutched tightly at her sister's clothes, her eyes full of fear, yet also hiding a stubborn will to live. I understood clearly in my heart. The sisters had no one to rely on and no way out. This was the only way they could preserve their lives. I waved my hand, easing their worries. As for the wife matter, we can talk about it later. Since I promised my uncle, I will take good care of you. Just as I finished speaking, 2 rumbling stomach growls sounded one after another, abrupt and especially clear. Lin Wanner's cheeks flushed red instantly. Embarrassed, she pursed her dry, cracked lips and explained softly, Brother you, we haven't eaten anything for 2 days. Seeing their haggard appearance, my heart softened. I pointed at the half bowl of chicken on the table. This is my dinner, you two eat first. I'll head into the mountains again and try my luck, hunt a bit more game, enough for the 3 of us to get by. Now that there were 2 extra mouths to feed, the food that used to require only 1 pheasant was no longer enough. I had to hunt more prey, both to fill our stomachs and to trade for some rice and flour to live on. After saying that, I picked up my homemade dagger and rope, stepped out of the yard under cover of night, and entered the pitch-black mountains. Kangmang Ridge was extremely dangerous late at night. Mountain dogs and black bears roamed everywhere, and the roles of hunter and prey could reverse at any moment. Relying on the professional wilderness survival experience from my previous life, I bent down, grabbed some mud from a mire, and smeared it evenly all over my body. It could both mask human scent to avoid detection by fierce beasts and also fend off mosquito bites in the mountains. I steadily walked toward the area where I had set rope snare traps the day before, my eyes vigilantly scanning the surroundings. This area had plenty of pheasants and wild rabbits, making it my regular hunting ground. If luck was on my side, I could gain something, and the prey's fur could also be traded in the village for money and grain. As soon as I neared the trap, a burst of urgent chirping entered my ears. I looked up and saw that in the grass 10 meters away, a brown wild rabbit of about 3 gene had its limbs tightly tangled in a vine trap and was struggling desperately. Delighted, I stepped forward slowly, grabbed the rabbit by its hind legs with one hand, and struck precisely at the nerve behind its ear. The rabbit instantly stopped struggling and went limp. This one rabbit was enough for the three of us to eat for several days. Having secured the prey, I originally planned to return immediately. It was not wise to stay long in the mountain forest at midnight. If I encountered pack-dwelling fierce beasts, the consequences would be unthinkable. But just as I turned around, a sudden rustling sound came from the grass beside me. Every nerve in my body tightened instantly. I suddenly looked up, only to see two pairs of ghostly green beast eyes fixed on me in the depths of the night, carrying extreme hunger and savagery as they slowly approached. Mountain dogs, and there were two of them. My years of outdoor combat experience surged into my mind at once. When facing mountain dogs, you absolutely must not run. Running would fully trigger their hunting instincts. Human legs can never outrun a four-legged beast. I forcibly suppressed the alarm in my heart and slowly stepped backward, deliberately turning my head slightly to avoid staring directly into their eyes and provoking them. My right hand quietly moved behind my back, gripping the dagger tightly, fingertips tense and ready to strike at any moment. I straightened my body and spread my arms to deliberately make myself look larger, amplifying my silhouette in the most primitive way to intimidate my opponents. Mountain dogs were not very intelligent and had always bullied the weak while fearing the strong. A forceful posture was enough to make them wary. Two low whimpering sounds rang out, and the two mountain dogs indeed stopped in their tracks, lowering their forelegs, their eyes full of hesitation. They could sense the fierce aura on me that was completely different from that of ordinary villagers. But prolonged hunger ultimately overcame fear. After a brief standoff, the two dark shadows suddenly lunged out, carrying a foul wind as they charged straight at me. Their speed was swift, fangs bared, every move aimed at the throat. My eyes sharpened, and I suddenly threw myself sideways, precisely dodging the first mountain dog's pounce. At the same time, the other mountain dog leaped into the air, its sharp fangs aimed straight for my neck. At the critical moment, I flipped my wrist, and the dagger stabbed precisely into the beast's neck. With a wet thud, foul-smelling beast blood gushed out and splattered all over my face. The warm, sticky blood hit me head-on, carrying a strong, wild stench. A dangerous scene like this was not particularly difficult for me, who had gone through countless life-and-death missions. In my previous life, I had once fought a wolf pack alone, and close-quarters killing had long been engraved into my instincts. The mountain dog that had been stabbed struggled violently, blood pouring from its neck, and within moments it completely lost its life. I raised my hand and flung the wolf corpse aside, bent low at the waist, and assumed the opening stance of a lethal capture knife technique, my cold eyes fixed on the only mountain dog left. "Come," I barked in a low voice, releasing my full killing intent. The remaining mountain dog looked at its companion's corpse, and its ghostly green pupils were completely filled with fear. It no longer dared to come forward and confront me. With its tail tucked in a low whine, it fled in panic and disappeared into the vast night. I let out a long breath of foul air, and my taut nerves finally relaxed. In close combat with a fierce beast, there was no room for the slightest carelessness. One small mistake could mean severe injury or death. Looking at the wolf corpse on the ground, a trace of joy flashed across my eyes. This adult mountain wolf weighed a full 70 gene. Once cleaned, it would be enough for the three of us to eat steadily for half a month. I immediately began bleeding and skinning it, quickly processing the wolf corpse to keep the meat from spoiling and stinking from trapped heat. I also hung the internal organs on a treetop, partly because it was the local custom to honor the mountain god, and partly to keep the bloody smell from attracting other fierce beasts to track me. After finishing everything, I hoisted the butchered wolf meat onto my shoulder, grabbed the wild rabbit, and hurried down the mountain. The mountain dog that had fled would most likely return for revenge, and every extra second spent in the mountain forest at night meant one more degree of danger. At this moment at home, Lynn Warner was crouching by the earthen stove heating water, the firelight reflecting off her slender figure. She was thoughtful and knew that after going into the mountains to hunt, I would surely return exhausted and weather-worn. So she had heated water in advance to make it easier for me to wash up and relax. Lin Xiaoqing had eaten her fill of chicken and was lying by the table, her eyes full of childish vigilance, whispering to her sister, "Sis, if he comes back and bullies us, I definitely won't let him off easy." Lin Warner let out a soft sigh, her eyes full of helplessness. He never wanted to take us in to begin with. It was only because Uncle pleaded again and again that he agreed. His temperament is cold, and with no one to rely on, all we can do is behave ourselves. Do more work and cause less trouble. We can't let people think we're eating and living here for nothing. The two sisters each had their own thoughts when suddenly heavy footsteps came from the courtyard. Lynn Warner immediately got up to open the door, but the moment she saw the doorway clearly, a scream slipped out. Ah? My face was covered in dried blood, a ferocious wolf's head hanging from my shoulder, my whole body stained with blood, making me look especially terrifying in the dim night. No wonder she was startled. It's me. I grinned, showing a mouthful of white teeth, putting all the wolf meat and the wild rabbit in the corner by the wall, then casually wiping the blood off my face. Looking at the intact wolf carcass on the ground and the plump wild rabbit, Lin Xiaoqing's eyes widened, her face full of disbelief. In this poor mountain village, even strong grown men armed with farm tools wouldn't dare face a mountain wolf alone, yet I had killed one with my bare hands, my strength far beyond what ordinary people could imagine. I'm sorry, brother you, I was rude just now. Lin Warner hurriedly lowered her head and apologized, her eyes filled with both shock and joy. With this meat, they finally wouldn't have to go hungry anymore. I looked at the steaming stove and joked with a smile. You even heated water in advance. That's thoughtful of you. As I spoke, I subconsciously took off my blood-stained outer shirt and pants. Just as I was about to wipe myself down, I suddenly realized there were still two young girls in the room. What are you doing? Put your clothes back on now. Lin Xiaoqing's face turned red instantly. She covered her eyes with both hands, yet couldn't help peeking through her fingers. Seeing my firm, well-defined muscles all over, her heart was full of shock, and she instantly understood why I could kill a wild wolf. Lin Warner's cheeks flushed red as she hurried forward to take the dirty clothes from my hands, softly explaining. Xiaoqing was too hungry and ate most of the chicken, so I specially saved a drumstick for you. I'll wash your clothes for you later. Seeing her shy and gentle expression, I awkwardly scratched my head, picked up the bucket, and went outside to wash up. Conditions in the 80s were crude, with no bathroom, so I could only make do with a rinse. I knew how obedient and sensible the two sisters were, and I also understood their fear and unease. Their obedience and eagerness to please were all helpless acts of survival in a desperate situation. Inside the house, Lin Warner walked to the door and found that I had locked it from the outside, so she could only look at my figure outside through the crack in the door, a gentle smile rising at the corners of her mouth. The man who had saved them was strong, upright, and exceptionally gentle, completely different from the rough men in the village. Early the next morning, I began processing the wolf carcass. The sharp blade slid across the wolf hide, and the perfectly intact pelt was of excellent quality, especially valuable in this era. Nowadays, town workers only earn 30 to 50 yuan a month, and rural laborers earned even less. Yet this single high-quality wolf pelt could sell for a full 50 yuan at the supply and marketing cooperative, equal to a month and a half of an ordinary person's income. In contrast, wolf meat was not in demand. Wolves are ferocious carnivores, and their meat is coarse and tough, with a strong gamey stink and a dry, woody texture. Very few people were willing to buy it, so it sold for very little. But in a mountain village where food was scarce, as long as it could fill the stomach, there was no need to be picky. I cut up all 30+ gene of wolf meat, removed the bones, and prepared to make it into dried meat for storage as our long-term rations, while the wild rabbit caught yesterday would be saved for later. Squatting nearby, Lin Xiaoqing looked at the heap of wolf meat and couldn't help lamenting. Turning all of it into dried meat is such a waste. Fresh meat tastes so much better. As I added firewood and boiled water, I explained with a smile. Wolf meat has a strong smell, so it has to be cleaned thoroughly, and it doesn't keep well. Only by making it into dried meat can it keep us full for a long time. The firewood blazed fiercely, and before long, the rich aroma of meat filled the room. I deliberately cut off some fresh wolf meat to stew in the pot, and left the drumstick on the table for the sisters. I couldn't bear to let two girls who had been hungry for so long keep making do. Half an hour later, the steaming stewed wolf meat was ready. Lin Warner was already starving, her stomach growling, yet she still stood obediently to one side, waiting to eat together with me. Go ahead and eat, no need to wait for me, I said with a smile. The two sisters finally picked up their chopsticks. Although the wolf meat was rough in texture, in their desperate circumstances, it was already the finest delicacy. Lin Xiaoqing ate until her mouth was shiny with grease, chewing the scalding meat over and over, blowing on it to cool it while still unwilling to spit it out, looking especially adorable. After the meal, once I was full, I walked into the inner room and began worrying about the sleeping arrangements. My house was simple, with only 2 small rooms. The inner room had just 1 big bed, and now that there were 2 more girls, lodging had become a problem. Outside, Lin Xiaoqing looked toward the inner room and asked in a small, uneasy voice, "Sis, he's not going to make us sleep with him, is he?" Lin Wanner's eyes were full of helplessness and embarrassment. Winter is almost here, and the night wind is biting. The woodshed is simply unfit for people to sleep in, and there's only 1 bed in the house. We don't have a choice. The 2 sisters were full of anxiety, afraid that their difficult situation left them no choice but to go along with whatever was arranged. Just then, I came out of the inner room and stated the arrangement directly. "You 2 sleep on the bed in the inner room. I'll sleep on the floor outside." The 2 sisters froze instantly. Looking around the crude outer room, there wasn't even a proper bed there at all. Was I planning to sleep on the ground? Lin Wanner quickly waved her hands and refused. "No, it's too cold at night. Sleeping on the ground will ruin your health." I smiled, unconcerned, and spread a thick layer of dry grass beside the stove. "It's fine. I've hunted outdoors all year round and endured all kinds of conditions. This little hardship is nothing. With the leftover warmth from the stove, getting through 1 night is no problem at all." Lin Xiaoqing instantly breathed a sigh of relief, the fear in her heart completely gone, and thought more than ever that I was a good person. But Lin Wanner was full of guilt, her face flushed red. After hesitating for a long time, she finally gathered her courage and spoke in a voice as soft as a mosquito's hum. How about we sleep together?" I understood the worldly rules of this era very well. If an unmarried girl shared a bed with a man and word got out, it would become a stain that ruined her reputation and completely affect the rest of her life. I deliberately put on a stern face and said seriously, "I promised Uncle that I would take good care of you, and I won't let you suffer the slightest grievance. You don't need to have any other unnecessary thoughts. Be good and go rest in the inner room." Seeing that they still didn't move, I frowned slightly and pretended to be displeased. "If you won't listen, then move out. I don't like people going against me." Lin Xiaoqing panicked and hurriedly pulled her hesitant sister into the inner room. They had finally found a place to stay and no longer dared risk being driven out to suffer hunger and cold again. When the door closed, a crystal-clear tear slid from the corner of Lin Wanner's eye. Through a gap in the curtain, she quietly looked at me lying on the pile of dry grass, her heart full of warmth and gratitude. Since her father's death, this was the first person who had sincerely treated them well, protected them, and asked for nothing in return. "Little sister, we're very lucky to have met a very, very good person. You must be more sensible from now on, and don't go provoking brother you." As dawn was just breaking, a rooster's crow tore open the night. Zhong Yu stood in the courtyard bare-chested, drenched in sweat as he did his morning exercises. This was his habit. He had to keep a strong physique at all times, and it was also good for hunting. In the 80s, your body was the capital of the revolution, and no one could bear the cost of a trip to the hospital if they got sick. His current circumstances also didn't allow him to fall ill. Finishing the last set of exercises, Zhong Yu wiped off his upper body. Today he was going to catch fish in the river beside the village. The 2 little ones were very weak, their faces sallow beyond belief, and their naturally pretty looks couldn't show at all. It doesn't look pleasing either. There are crucian carp in the river, and this stuff is a real tonic when used to make soup. Especially wild ones. Their nutritional value is as high as a 3-story building. Holding the homemade fish spear, Zhong Yu swung it onto his shoulder and leisurely walked toward the riverbank. "Fuguwei, why aren't you making a move? You've been holding that fish spear up forever without doing anything. Are you standing there feeding the fish?" At the riverbank, as soon as Zhong Yu arrived, he saw quite a few people from the village holding fish spears and catching fish. But in weather this cold, not many were willing to go into the water. Most people just stood at the edge feeling around the rocks, hoping that with some luck they could catch a few small shrimp and crabs. "What are you rushing me for, woman? This water's so cold my balls have shrunk, and my hands won't even obey me." Wang Fuguwei, standing in the middle of the river, was trembling. The fish spear wobbled in his hands and was impossible to use properly. Standing with both feet in the flowing water felt like stepping into an ice pit. It only gets a little better around noon, but by then the fish won't come out. "Uncle Fuguwei, how many have you caught?" Zhong Yu walked to the riverbank with a smile and greeted him, bending down to take off his shoes and briskly rolling up his pant legs, ready to go into the water. Wang Fuguwei was related to him, a distant cousin. In villages in the 80s, relatives being linked through more relatives was a common thing. "Xiaoya, don't come down. This water is freezing." A young fellow like you can't take this kind of cold. When Wang Fugui heard someone call him, he looked up and saw it was Zhong Yu, and immediately smiled as he warned him. But in the next second, Zhong Yu's legs moved like rattle drums, and in just a few steps he reached the coldest part in the middle of the river and stood before him. Young people really do run hot. To be able to withstand water this icy. Wang Fugui looked on enviously. He had been just as vigorous and full of life when he was young. What a pity that after getting married, his body got worse day by day. Uncle, that's not how you catch fish. You have to look at them at an angle. Under the light, the fish appear at an angle, so you can't spear straight at them. Zhong Yu watched Wang Fugui suddenly jab his fish spear into the river water, but when he lifted it, there was nothing on it. He knew the method was wrong. Catching fish takes skill. You have to understand the principles of optical refraction. But things like that are only understood by knowledgeable people with fishing experience. How would someone who doesn't often fish know so much? Xiaoya, it's not that I want to say this, but Uncle Wang has eaten more salt than you've eaten rice. How could I not know how to spear fish? Wang Fugui was a little unconvinced. Being taught by a junior how to catch fish hurt his pride, especially with so many people around watching. Yes, go on. After you spear a fish, teach me your method. Zhong Yu didn't argue. Smiling, he walked 3 meters away, then raised his fish spear and bent slightly at the waist, looking into the river at an angle for the fish swimming by. It wasn't winter yet, and the river's surface hadn't frozen over, so catching fish was a little easier. Once the river froze over, the only way to catch fish would be with a fishing rod, and that would take quite a bit of time. Just then, a palm-sized little fish flicked its agile tail and swam past in the river. Zhong Yu wasn't in a hurry. After finding the right angle, he fixed his gaze on it. He waited until the fish turned its head and swam his way, then struck decisively. In his hand, the fish spear was as swift as an arrow loosed from the bow, splashing water when it stabbed into the river. Hit! Zhong Yu felt the fish spear shaking, and when he lifted it, he saw a crucian carp stuck on it. The fish was as long as a palm is wide, estimated at 200 grams. Xiaoya, your luck is really good, like a blind cat bumping into a dead mouse. When Wang Fugui saw Zhong Yu catch a fish the moment he made a move, surprise flashed across his face before he quickly suppressed it. It had been half an hour, and after more than a dozen thrusts he hadn't gotten so much as a scale. Meanwhile, his legs were frozen to the point of nearly giving out. Uncle, do you believe me now? The corner of Zhong Yu's mouth curved up, his eyes full of smugness. That immediately stirred Wang Fugui's competitive spirit, and he said unwillingly, how about we make a bet and see who catches more? That wouldn't be good, would it? Zhong Yu wore an amused expression. Competing with him at catching fish, wasn't that just delivering goods right to his door? With his hand speed and experience, he could hold his own even against a professional fishing expert. A man can't say he can't do it. Do you dare or not? The corner of Wang Fugui's mouth lifted. He felt Zhong Yu had just been lucky, and that the kid himself knew he didn't dare to gamble. In Wang Fugui's mind, Zhong Yu definitely wouldn't agree, and that way he could get back the face he'd lost just now. That's right. A man can't say he can't do it. If we're competing, then we're competing. Zhong Yu agreed at once, suppressing the smile at the corner of his mouth. He pulled the fish off the spear and put it into his pocket. 3 fish would be enough for the 2 little ones to get some nutrition. If he caught too many, he wouldn't be able to carry them anyway. There were crabs and shrimp in Uncle's fish basket. If they were stewed together with crucian carp, that tastes delicious. Fine. If you lose, give me the fish you catch. If I lose, I'll give you everything I catch today. Wang Fugui looked surprised. He hadn't expected Zhong Yu to really agree, but he readily accepted as well. Young people just can't keep their cool. One little taunt, and they act on impulse. He refused to believe Zhong Yu's luck would stay this good the whole time. Could he really lose to a greenhorn? That crucian carp from just now looked pretty good. Today he'd have something tasty to eat. All right, it's settled then. Everyone here heard it. Zhong Yu looked at the gazes from the others around them and wasn't afraid that Wang Fugui would dare go back on his word in front of so many people. For men, it's all about face. You can't say you can't do it. You think I'd cheat you or something. Your uncle here is absolutely honest and reliable. Wang Fugui lifted his chin and patted his chest as he guaranteed it. When he saw several women, prettier than his wife, looking his way, the smile on his face grew even brighter. It seemed even the cold in his feet had been driven away quite a bit. The competition began, and both Zhong Yu and Wang Fugui's expressions changed, turning serious. The two of them stared unblinkingly at the flowing river water, and whenever they saw a fish swim by, they struck decisively. But unfortunately, no matter how Wang Fugui jabbed with the fish spear, the fish acted as if they had alarms installed and just wouldn't get hit. Several times they even swam around the gaps in the spear, which made him furious. "Uncle, I got another one. The shrimp in your fish basket are about to be mine." Zhongyu grabbed the fish off the spear in one motion. In less than 10 minutes, he had already caught 5 crucian carp in a row, each about 200 grams. At that speed, even the onlookers were stunned. Zhongyu's really something. That fish-catching method is amazing. As long as he makes a move, he hits every time. Of course, he learned hunting from Old Man Qi, and he really learned the essentials of the skill. Look how dark old Wang's face has turned. All that excitement from earlier is completely gone. I bet when he gets back today, he's going to get beaten. Quite a few of the onlookers were covering their mouths and snickering. And at this moment, Wang Fugui's wife was gritting her teeth, wanting to flare up. If this keeps up, all today's effort catching fish will have been for nothing. They'll definitely go hungry when they get back. Can Uncle admit defeat? Can I give you only half the shrimp? Wang Fugui's face was scrunched up like a bitter melon, his upper and lower lips chattering. None of the imposing manner from before remained. Even if they kept competing, he still couldn't beat Zhongyu. Just from what he could see, that kid had caught at least 15 fish, and fishtails were already sticking out of his pocket. He really had a loose mouth. He'd been doing just fine spearing fish, so why had he made a bet? "Uncle, didn't you say a man can't say he can't do it?" Zhongyu chuckled. Seeing Wang Fugui's darkened face, he had no intention of dragging it out any further and directly won this competition. As for Uncle's catch, surrendering means handing over half. You're still the better one. Uncle learned something today. From now on, I'll use your method when catching fish. Wang Fugui unwillingly took out half of the shrimp and crabs he had worked so hard to catch, verbally acknowledging Zhongyu's fishing method. "Thanks." Zhongyu accepted them with satisfaction, then quickly ran up to the bank. He'd been out for less than half an hour and had caught more than a dozen crucian carp weighing 200 grams each, plus 3 big crabs and more than a dozen small river shrimp. After going back, the 2 little ones would be in for a treat. "Sis, why are you awake so early? Where is he?" Lin Shaoqing rubbed her sleepy eyes and walked out from the inner room, but didn't see Zhongyu anywhere. Only her older sister was busy boiling water. She walked over to the stove and craned her neck to look. When she saw it was wolf meat inside, her expression turned bitter. If there were nothing else to eat, no matter how bad wolf meat tasted, she could still force it down. But after eating chicken and with rabbit meat nearby that she hadn't even tried yet, she no longer wanted to eat that dry, stringy wolf meat that got stuck in her teeth. "I didn't see Brother Yu when I came out either. He's not outside either." Lin Warner added some dry firewood, then turned back and glared at her little sister's expression as she said, You've been picky since you were little. You got full from just one meal, and now you're already getting choosy. Have you forgotten the times when we went hungry? I didn't say I wouldn't eat it." Lin Shaoqing stuck out her pink tongue playfully. Just as she was about to help, she heard the door being pushed open. Zhongyu walked in with a smile and placed the fish he had brought back on the table. Seeing the river shrimp flipping about on the table and the crabs that had fallen to the floor, Lin Shaoqing's mouth opened into an O shape. They had just eaten chicken and wolf meat yesterday, and this morning they were already having freshwater seafood. This is even better than when Dad was around. How is Zhongyu so amazing? Yuegij, did you catch all of this? Did you go into the river? Lin Warner's first reaction when she saw the catch was not happiness, but a face full of worry and concern. In this weather, very few people would dare go into the river. That icy water felt like needles piercing to the bone. Zhongyu had rushed to the riverside early in the morning to catch fish, and he probably hadn't slept well last night either. "It's fine, that river water can't freeze me." Seeing tears glimmer in the corners of Lin Warner's eyes, Zhongyu touched his head, somewhat at a loss. Being cared for felt warm, much better than when he used to be a mercenary. In those days of living amid gunfire and bullets, he could die on a mission at any time, yet no one cared whether his body was okay. All that was required was that the mission be completed on time. "Sis, let's not eat that wolf meat. Let's eat this fish instead, okay?" Lin Shaoqing held a crucian carp and pleaded with her eyes. She didn't even need to ask Zhongyu. This fish was probably caught especially for them. She was just afraid her sister wouldn't agree. "No, this is what Yuegij worked so hard to catch. You can't eat it. We have to save it for Yuegij." Lin Warner stood with her hands on her hips in disagreement, then turned and looked at Zhongyu with heartache. His pant legs weren't wet, which meant he had taken off his shoes and gone into the river. River shrimp and crabs can be caught by the riverbank, but crucian carp are hard to catch. You have to stand in the middle of the river and wait. In weather this cold, only those who've experienced it know what that feels like. "It's fine. I caught them for you." Let's cook them and eat them later. There's still a little rice in the jar, just enough to make together. Zhong Yu felt that Lin Wanner was very considerate, always thinking of him. Unlike Lin Xiaoqing, this girl had probably already forgotten what it was like to go hungry. He still. You. Lin Xiaoqing beamed, but stopped before she could say the word Gidge. She remembered that when she came yesterday, she had wanted her sister to be Zhong Yu's wife, so calling him Gidge didn't seem very appropriate. After thinking it over, she wrapped her arm around Zhong Yu's and said coquettishly, "Thank you, brother-in-law. Brother-in-law, you're amazing. You're so nice." A soft warmth pressed against his arm, feeling as if it were caught between marshmallows. Lin Xiaoqing looked very small, but she was not poorly developed. Where she should be soft and full, she was. Combined with her sweet, gentle tone, it made his mind waver for a moment. You. Hearing the title brother-in-law, Lin Wanner shyly lowered her head, and her neck visibly turned red. She didn't scold her little sister for talking nonsense. Instead, she was wondering what Zhong Yu thought in his heart. Was he planning to accept her? Otherwise, why would he thoughtfully go into the river first thing in the morning to catch fish when there was already meat at home? Ahem. Zhong Yu coughed awkwardly, breaking the ambiguous atmosphere. Somewhat reluctant, he withdrew his arm from Lin Xiaoqing's embrace and said with a smile, "I'll go to the village entrance first to sell the wolf pelt, then buy some rice and come back." "Okay, we'll cook the meal and wait for you." Lin Wanner nodded obediently, her eyes fixed reluctantly on his departing figure. "Sis, stop staring. There'll be plenty of time in the future. Brother-in-law is so capable, catching so many fish." Lin Xiaoqing tossed several shrimp into the pot. Things caught from the river like these didn't need to be washed at all. Just boil them, and they could be eaten, at most adding a little salt for seasoning. "Little sister, it seems you really took my words to heart." Lin Wanner was very pleased with what her little sister had said just now, and after simply cleaning the crucian carp, she put them into the pot as well. Very quickly, the fresh aroma rose up, making her mouth secrete saliva from craving. Even when Dad was around, they had never eaten anything this good. She hadn't expected to be eating it now. "Of course I have to listen to you, sis, but now I can listen to brother-in-law too." Lin Xiaoqing chuckled, leaned close to Lin Wanner's ear, and whispered, "Sis, do you think you should sleep with brother-in-law tonight?" Hearing this, Lin Wanner's face instantly turned red, like a blooming peony. She said shyly, "That depends on whether Yuegij agrees." At this moment, Zhong Yu arrived at the village entrance carrying the wolf pelt. In the entire village, only the purchasing station bought pelts and things from wild animals, and it also sold some household goods. The owner was the village secretary's nephew, mainly responsible for coordinating with the county supply and marketing cooperative. There was quite a bit of profit to be made here by earning the price difference. Without connections, there was no point even thinking about it. "Boss, do you buy wolf pelts?" Pushing the door open, Zhong Yu saw a flat-headed man leaning against the counter, picking his teeth. The air was filled with the aroma of meat, and a bowl of oily soup on the counter was still steaming hot. Seeing someone come to sell something, Su Chengshu immediately put away the bowl on the counter, afraid others would find out he was eating meat. He sized Zhong Yu up and asked suspiciously, "You want to sell a wolf pelt?" The visitor was not very old, and no matter how he looked at him, he didn't seem like a hunter. Zhong Yu took out the wolf pelt and placed it on the counter, waiting for the boss to name a price. He had skinned it very cleanly, with almost no tears in it, so it should sell for at least 50 yuan. "You hunted this? It isn't stolen, is it?" "I don't buy stolen goods." Su Chengshu glanced at the wolf pelt, looking even more suspicious. He simply couldn't believe the person in front of him could hunt a mountain dog. "I hunted it myself. Go ahead and buy it without worry. If the price is good, I'll come sell to you from now on." Zhong Yu knew that hardly anyone came to the purchasing station at the village entrance these days. Most people could barely fill their stomachs, so who had money to buy things? Only those who went up the mountain to hunt could come sell pelts. But in the whole of Qianshan village, there were very few people capable of hunting. If he hadn't transmigrated here with a full set of wilderness survival skills, he might well have ended up starving and freezing. How could he have taken in those two little ones? "I was just asking, don't overthink it." Hearing that he might be a long-term customer, Su Chengshu's expression changed at once, and his eyes flickered. He had only asked casually, worried the man had stolen it from someone in the village and that it would bring trouble later. Wolf pelts are hard to sell. Right now people can barely get enough to eat, so not many like this sort of thing. "How about this? I'll offer 20 yuan, okay?" Hearing that, Zhong Yu gave a scornful laugh, picked up the wolf pelt from the counter, and prepared to leave. He simply found it troublesome and didn't want to go all the way to the county over a dozen li away to sell it to the supply and marketing cooperative. But he hadn't expected the village purchasing station to be so black-hearted. They were clearly taking advantage of his young age to slash him hard. Don't be in such a hurry. I made an offer, and you can counteroffer. Su Chengshu hadn't expected the other party to be so straightforward, not even bothering to speak before turning to leave. He hurried out to stop him. This wolf pelt could fetch a very good price. The fur wasn't damaged and was very complete. If sold to the county supply and marketing cooperative, it could go for at least 60 yuan. And if he met someone who really liked fur, even 70 yuan wouldn't be a problem. 51. Take it or leave it. Zhong Yu held up 5 fingers, with no intention of bargaining. It's only a bit over a dozen kilometers. He'd just treat it like a light cross-country trek. Looking at that unreasonable face, Su Chengshu knew he'd run into someone who knew the market. This one wouldn't be easy to cheat. He calculated the numbers in his head, then finally gritted his teeth and said, "Fine, you know your stuff. 50 it is. Give me 5 jin of white flour and 10 jin of rice. As for the rest, tickets would be best. If not, forget it." In the 1980s, tickets were more valuable than money. But tickets were hard to obtain. Only places like the purchasing station had them. Things like grain tickets and cloth tickets were very common, and using them to buy staple foods and daily necessities made them much cheaper. Especially for scarce goods like televisions and bicycles, you even needed industrial coupons. Even ordinary workers would have to save tickets for years to buy that kind of thing. Here, take it. White flour and indica rice are both 0.2 yuan per jin, 3 yuan total. I don't have any tickets here, but if you want them, you can wait until next time. Su Chengshu put a stack of money on the counter and then put away the wolf pelt. He was actually lying. He did have tickets, but he didn't want to take them out. These things were scarce, and you couldn't necessarily trade for them even if you had money. All right, remember that for me. Zhong Yu counted the money. The amount was correct, 47 yuan in total, equivalent to 1.5 months' wages for a villager. If there were no tickets, then so be it. He had originally planned to get some cloth tickets to make 2 thick sets of clothes for the 2 little ones. Winter was coming, and without thick clothes they wouldn't do. They would freeze. Take care, come again next time. Watching the door close, Su Chengshu immediately grinned from ear to ear and took out the wolf pelt. Tomorrow, once he made a trip to the county supply and marketing cooperative, he could make 10 or 20 yuan just by reselling it. This business, it couldn't be easier. As soon as he got home, Zhong Yu pushed open the door and caught a whiff of a delicious aroma. The 2 little ones were sitting at the table waiting, and he walked over with a smile and said, "The wolf hide sold for some money, so I bought some white flour and rice." "Wow, white flour. Sis, it's white flour." As soon as Lin Xiaoqing heard, "white flour," she shot to her feet, her eyes sparkling like stars. How long had it been since she last ate white flour? She could hardly even remember the taste. "Brother Yu, white flour is very expensive. You didn't have to waste money on us." Lin Wanner came over with a smile all over her face, carrying a bowl of freshly cooked river seafood porridge. Neither she nor her little sister had taken a single bite. They had been waiting for Zhong Yu to come back and have the first mouthful. "It's fine. Money should be spent when it needs to be. I promised my uncle I'd take good care of you." Zhong Yu blew on the rim of the bowl and took a slurping taste. The flavor was incredibly fresh and delicious. More often than not, the finest ingredients need only the simplest cooking methods. There wasn't a bit of falsehood in that saying. "Sis, brother-in-law has already eaten, so let's eat too." Lin Xiaoqing had long since run out of patience and ran off to serve herself a bowl as well. After gulping it down, a blissful expression appeared on her face, and even her skin turned rosy and plump. She licked even the soup at the bottom of the bowl clean. Just as the 3 of them were eating the steaming hot river seafood porridge, footsteps came from outside the door. "Bro, are you there?" A familiar voice sounded, and Zhong Yu knew who it was the moment he heard it. His uncle had a son named Zhong Lu, 2 years younger than him, who had always wanted to go hunting in the mountains with him. "Did you follow the smell here?" Zhong Yu opened the door and saw Zhong Lu standing there holding a thick quilt. The quilt still looked fairly new, not freshly recarved. "Smells so good. What are you eating?" Zhong Lu was tempted by the scent wafting out and craned his head to look inside. He had met Lin Wanner and Lin Xiaoqing before, and they had stayed at his house for 2 days, so he also knew they had been sent to stay with Zhong Yu. "Come in, you can eat with us." Zhong Yu didn't stand on ceremony and opened the door to let Zhong Lu in. His uncle had always treated him very well. Even this place to live had been provided by him. "Wow, you're eating porridge. And there's fish and shrimp too." Zhong Lu's eyes lit up as he looked at the porridge in the pot. He remembered that he had only eaten half a sweet potato this morning, and his stomach was still empty. But what was Zhong Yu eating? Porridge made with crucian carp, river shrimp, and crab. Compared to that, this was practically a landlord's life. What are you carrying? Put it down first and eat. Zhongyu ladled out a bowl of porridge and set it on the table, beckoning Zhonglu to sit down. He had already guessed what the quilt was for. His uncle was worried that with extra people in the house, there wouldn't be enough quilts for sleeping. He had originally planned to make one himself, but it seemed his uncle had thought things through more carefully. It's because they might freeze, and with 2 extra people, it's not very convenient. Zhonglu walked into the inner room, put the quilt on the bed, then quickly came back out, sat by the table, and started drinking porridge. After that first mouthful, his expression was exactly the same as Lin Xiaoqing's. Bro, go talk to my dad for me, and let me go hunting with you. After finishing one bowl of porridge, Zhonglu's gaze flicked toward the pot. He really wanted another bowl, but felt too embarrassed to ask. Right now, there were only a few people in the whole village who could eat this kind of porridge, and Zhongyu was clearly able to because of his hunting skills. If he could learn even a little, his family wouldn't have to keep living such a tight life. Go tell my uncle yourself. I don't dare bring it up. Zhongyu didn't agree. Just as he stood up to go get another bowl of porridge, Lin Wanner beside him took the bowl from his hand. When she brought it back again, there was another bowl in front of Zhonglu too. Thanks. Zhonglu took the bowl with a grin, drank a couple mouthfuls, then sighed. Sigh. I'm the only son in my family. My dad says hunting in the mountains is too dangerous, so he won't let me go. Then isn't that? You should just stay at home honestly. Zhongyu nodded. There was no way he was going to speak to his uncle about it. Hunting in the mountains was too dangerous. He wasn't afraid because he had solid skills, but Zhonglu didn't. If he took some reckless greenhorn hunting and something dangerous happened, what if the kid couldn't react in time? His uncle had only this one son. How would he explain himself then? Fine. Actually, I'm scared of hunting too. Zhongyu finished his porridge sheepishly and had just gotten ready to stand up and leave when he was stopped. Here, this is the money for the quilt. Take it back to my uncle. Zhongyu pulled out 15 yuan and stuffed it into Zhonglu's hand. A quilt wasn't cheap. Outside, it could sell for over 10 yuan. He had money on him now, so he couldn't let his uncle's family take a loss. No, my dad said, I can't take your money. This is a gift. Zhonglu stared wide-eyed at the money in his hand. After counting it, there were 15 yuan. That was 15 whole yuan. Was hunting really that profitable? It was as much as his family's income for a month. But he couldn't take this money. He had been warned before coming. Take it. If you want to learn hunting, then take it back, or I won't help you. Zhongyu deliberately threatened him. Then pushed Zhonglu out the door and said with a smile, if you're hungry in the future, come here. You'll get your fill here. I've decided. When I get back, I'll lay it all out to my dad. Even if he beats me to death, I'm going to learn hunting from you. Zhonglu made up his mind and left, clutching the money tightly in his hand. This was a road to getting rich. He couldn't miss it. So what if I'm the only son? Keeping me safe won't fill anyone's stomach. Night fell. The 3 of them polished off all the porridge from the day. Zhongyu found a wooden plank in the woodshed and planned to set up a temporary bed in the corner. Sleeping on the ground was still a bit cold, and he couldn't very well stay by the stove the whole time. The firewood wouldn't last, and he'd still have to get up at night to add more to the fire. Brother, we can squeeze together. Lin Wanner hugged the quilt, her little face slightly red. She and her little sister would be sleeping on the warm Kong, but Zhongyu would be sleeping on an icy wooden plank. No matter how she thought about it, she felt bad about it. That's right, brother-in-law, it's so cold outside, and it's not like there isn't enough room. Lin Xiaoqing stood on the Kong and poked her head out, her lively eyes rolling about. She wasn't like her sister, too embarrassed to say it. It's not like that was going to happen. They were just sleeping together. It's fine, there's a quilt, so it's no big deal. Zhongyu didn't agree. He felt the 2 little ones' reputations were very important, and he couldn't let people gossip carelessly. Otherwise, how would they get married in the future? Besides, he was a normal, hot-blooded man. If 2 beautiful girls were sleeping beside him at night, what if he made a mistake? What would the 2 little ones think? All right then, if it's cold, you can come in. Lin Wanner felt she'd already made herself clear enough. If she said any more, she really wouldn't be able to get the words out. She spread the quilt over the wooden plank he had set up, then walked into the inner room, feeling a little disappointed. Brother-in-law? Lin Xiaoqing could see what her sister was thinking, so she came out of the inner room and whispered, Brother-in-law, you're not shy, are you? We won't do anything. What nonsense are you thinking? Go to sleep. Zhongyu frowned and glared, but when he saw Lin Xiaoqing flee in panic, he smiled again. She actually said that right to his face? This girl really had no inhibitions at all. Hee, brother-in-law, if you get cold, come in, okay? My sister sleeps on the left side, so don't get it wrong. Lin Xiaoqing poked her head out from the inner room again, covering her mouth as she giggled, but she was immediately dragged back in. Then a pleading voice came from inside. Sis, stop hitting me. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said it out loud. Brother-in-law, come in quickly. In the blink of an eye, the two little ones had been living at his house for 10 days. Under Zhong Yu's attentive care, the sallow look on their faces had disappeared, replaced by rosy fair skin. It had to be said, the two of them really were standard beauty blanks. And even just standing there without moving, they were two beautiful sights to behold. During this time, Zhong Yu had also become familiar with them, and 2 days ago he had even made a special trip to the county to buy them 2 thick sets of clothes. Winter was almost here, so he couldn't let the two little ones freeze. Brother-in-law, do I look good in these clothes? Lin Xiaoqing stood there in her new clothes, spinning in circles, her eyebrows curved like crescent moons. In the past, they would only have a chance to make new clothes around New Year. You look good, but mainly because it's you wearing them. Zhong Yu didn't know the two little ones' sizes, so he had deliberately bought the clothes a bit large. Now it seemed they fit just right. Lin Xiaoqing wasn't tall, around 1.5 meters, and the two little braids resting on her shoulders made her look lively and adorable, giving off the feeling of the girl next door. At that moment, Lin Wanner also came out wearing a beige outfit. She was a head taller than Lin Xiaoqing, and the clothes were a little small. Her loose-fitting clothes were all stretched up by her good figure. A total mature sister style. This outfit of mine doesn't seem suitable. Lin Wanner's face was red as sunset clouds, and she tugged at the hem with her little hands, very shy. She had just tried it, and as soon as she squatted down, her butt would show. This outfit wasn't suitable to wear outside. I think it looks great. Brother-in-law is staring in a daze. Lin Xiaoqing chuckled, seeing that Zhong Yu's eyes had gone straight. He was clearly very satisfied. Clothes weren't cheap. 1 set cost 10 yuan, so 2 sets came to 20 yuan. Brother-in-law is really willing to spend money on them. He truly is a good man, but she just doesn't get it. Why won't he come in to sleep at night? Ahem, that's fine. Zhong Yu touched his nose and turned his head awkwardly. It had to be said, when it came to figure and looks, Lin Wanner was even more eye-catching. If she were placed 40 years later, she'd definitely be a big star-level beauty. Oh, someone's coming. Sis, let's hurry and go inside to change back. Suddenly, Lin Xiaoqing saw someone walking over in the distance and immediately pulled her sister back into the inner room. She didn't want anyone else seeing her in new clothes. Only brother-in-law could see, you know. Bro. Zhong Lu came running over, looking puzzled at the two hiding from him. But he didn't pay it much mind. Then turned his head and said with squinting eyes and a smile, my dad agreed. Are you sure? Zhong Yu looked over suspiciously. Uncle actually agreed to let Zhong Lu go hunting with him? No way. He hadn't agreed before. I'm not lying, it's true. Zhong Lu nodded in confirmation. He wasn't lying. After going back that day, he brought up going hunting again. At first his dad disagreed and was even about to teach him a lesson, but when he took out 15 yuan, the slap hanging in the air stopped. Once he thought about making money hunting with Zhong Yu, being the only son was no longer an obstacle. Given the current situation, being able to eat your fill was the most important thing. With Zhong Yu there, as long as they were careful and cautious, nothing too serious would happen. All right then, I happen to be going up the mountain, so this time you can come with me. Zhong Yu agreed to take Zhong Lu hunting. The money from selling the wolf pelt earlier was almost gone, and winter was about to set in, so he had to hunt more prey and store it at home. You had to have money in hand to feel secure. You couldn't just hunt and eat on the spot. Really? When are we leaving? The moment he heard they were going up the mountain to hunt, Zhong Lu got excited like a child. He had only ever heard the elders mention that there were many wild beasts in the mountains. Mountain dogs, black bears, and big boar hogs. He hadn't actually seen any of those things yet. Tomorrow, I need to make some preparations. Zhong Yu set the time. He didn't have a gun, nor the money or connections to buy one. But he had other ways. Back when he was carrying out missions in Africa, he had learned hunting techniques from the local tribes. All right, I'll go back and tell my dad right away. I'll come over first thing tomorrow morning. With that, Zhong Lu quickly ran off, full of anticipation for tomorrow's trip up the mountain to hunt. At that moment, Lin Wanner, who had changed out of the new clothes, walked out. She had just heard Zhong Yu say he was going up the mountain to hunt, and said with concern, the temperature's dropping now, and there's even snow on the mountaintop. You need to be careful when you go out. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Just wait for me to come back. Zhong Yu nodded in agreement, then got up and went to the woodshed to take out 2 straight, thumb-thick, thin bamboo stalks. He had prepared these specially, specifically for hunting. In Africa, there was a weapon called a blowgun. This weapon involved hollowing out the inside of thin bamboo, then placing a sharp dart into the bottom. By aiming and forcefully blowing from the bottom with pressure from the mouth, the dart could shoot out quickly and hit the prey. It was a great weapon for hunting pheasants, rabbits, and squirrels. If he ran into things like mountain dogs, coating the dart with some numbing juice could also have remarkable effects. This trip up the mountain, he planned to use the blowgun for hunting. I'll cook and wait for you to come back. Lynn Warner nodded obediently, just like an already married woman. When she first arrived, she had been afraid she wouldn't be taken in and had thought of becoming someone else's wife to settle down, but that wasn't what she truly wanted. After spending these past few days together, both she and her little sister had genuinely come to like Zhongyu. Zhongyu was handsome, considerate, and capable. What woman wouldn't like a man like that? But she wasn't sure who Zhongyu liked. They couldn't possibly have both her little sister and herself marry Zhongyu, could they? Early the next morning, Zhongyu got everything ready. Just as he picked up the blowgun and slung it over his back, he saw Zhonglu come running over with a grin, carrying a bamboo basket on his back. The canteen at his waist clinked, and there was also a cloth bag hanging from his chest. Bro, I'm all ready. I've got water, and I've got food too. I guarantee I won't hold you back. Zhonglu proudly opened the cloth bag, revealing the sweet potatoes inside. He hadn't slept well at all last night. His mind had been full of today's hunting trip. We're not going on a spring outing. Taking this much stuff is useless. Zhongyu was helpless. Why would they need so many things to go hunting in the mountains? It wasn't like they were going on a long journey. The place he had chosen this time wasn't far from the village. They could leave in the morning and be back at night, so there was no need to stay overnight. Then I prepared all this for nothing. Zhonglu was a little disappointed. He had even deliberately taken out half the sweet potatoes from home as rations. It's fine. Bring the water and the basket. Leave the rest at home and take it back after we return. After saying that, Zhongyu packed up his things, tucked the dagger into his waistband, and set off toward the mountain with the blowgun on his back. On the way, he told Zhonglu the rules for entering the mountain. All actions had to follow his command. If he didn't listen, he wouldn't bring Zhonglu up the mountain next time. Bro, don't worry. I'll go wherever you tell me to go and absolutely listen to you. Zhonglu nodded excitedly, already thinking about showing off to his family after bringing back some game. When the time came, he'd be able to eat steaming hot river fresh porridge too. At the mountainside, two figures moved forward bent over, the howling cold wind stinging their faces. The temperature on the mountain was much colder than at the foot, and it was already snowing lightly before winter had even arrived. The excitement had long vanished from Zhonglu's face. If he hadn't begged to come hunting, he would have wanted to go back down the mountain. What kind of work was this for people to do? They hadn't even seen any prey yet, and he was already being tormented badly. Remember, after entering the mountain, you have to learn to observe and stay alert at all times. Zhongyu led the way in front, his gaze occasionally dropping to the ground. If you wanted to find prey, observation was essential. Through footprints and droppings, you could analyze whether there was prey nearby and also detect danger in advance. The area they had entered wasn't very deep, so black bears and wild boars rarely appeared. But luck was hard to predict. The roles of hunter and prey could switch in an instant. Bro, look over there. At that moment, Zhonglu, walking behind him, had just raised his head when he spotted a pheasant mottled with blackish-brown markings. He pointed in its direction, his expression a little excited. He had never eaten pheasant before and didn't know what it tasted like. Whoosh! The sound of something slicing through the air rang out. Zhongyu also spotted the pheasant at the same time. He quickly took the blowgun from behind his back, loaded a dart, aimed at the target, took a sharp breath, and blew. The dart struck the pheasant's body like an arrow released from the bowstring. After being hit, the pheasant fell to the ground and flapped its wings. After a few moments, it stopped moving. Bro, you're amazing. What is this thing? Zhonglu stared in fascination, very curious about the bamboo-like object. This is even more convenient than a gun. You can catch pheasants without making a sound. It's called a blowgun. I'll teach you if there's a chance. Zhongyu looked around and didn't rush to collect the prey. Since it was the start of winter now, it wasn't pheasant breeding season. Female birds and subadults would form small groups to forage together. There might be other pheasants nearby. If it were spring instead, that would be when pheasants scattered and moved alone, since they'd need to compete for territory and mates. Bro, aren't we going to pick it up? Zhonglu looked confused. Not collecting the prey after hitting it? What are we waiting here for? But seeing that Zhongyu didn't reply, he wisely stopped talking and simply waited quietly behind him. Whoosh! Another dart shot out from the blowgun, and a pheasant that had just taken flight was hit. As for moving targets, Zhongyu handled them with ease. In his former Special Forces marksmanship assessments, he had always steadily taken first place in the unit. That's all. After observing the surroundings, Zhongyu didn't find any more traces of pheasants. He ran over, pulled the darts from the pheasants, then threw them into Zhonglu's basket and continued walking up the mountain. Half an hour later, the cold wind on the mountain gradually weakened, but the temperature became even lower. The two of them were thinly dressed, and their arms were trembling a little from the cold. So far they had only caught 2 pheasants and hadn't even seen a rabbit. This trip's harvest really wasn't great. But hunting in the mountains also depended on luck. You wouldn't encounter prey every time. Bro, are we still going? It's so cold. Zhonglu breathed warm air onto his palms. And now he finally understood why the people in the village knew hunting made money, yet few were willing to go into the mountains. Hunting was too hard, even harder than farming. Since you've decided to come along, then you have to adapt. Money is hard to earn, and prey is hard to catch. Didn't you want to eat white flour? Giving up already? Zhongyu turned back and lectured him a little, without looking down on him. Zhonglu is younger than him and the only child in the family, so he probably hasn't suffered much. Before coming into the mountains, he didn't remind him on purpose, just to see whether Zhonglu was really suited for hunting. His uncle had always treated him well, and if Zhonglu learned how to hunt, he could bring considerable income to the family. Brother is right. I want to eat white flour, and Dad is still waiting for me to come back from hunting. Zhonglu rubbed his palms together and breathed warm air into them, his eyes growing resolute. He followed Zhongyu step by step up the mountain, while also learning to observe the surroundings. Stop! Suddenly, Zhongyu, who was walking ahead, saw traces of an animal on the ground. He crouched down for a look, and his heart skipped a beat. They were mountain dog tracks. And there was also freshly dropped scat. What is it? Did you spot pheasants again? Zhonglu immediately looked around, but saw no sign of any pheasants. Not pheasants, mountain dogs. Zhongyu picked up the droppings from the ground to feel their temperature, his gaze turning wary. The droppings are warm, which means the wolves are nearby and haven't gone far. There aren't many tracks, so it's hard to tell how many there are. He didn't have a gun, and if they ran into a wolf pack, it would be extremely dangerous. Mountain dogs. You're saying there are mountain dogs here? Zhonglu's voice suddenly rose, and panic appeared in his eyes. He had heard from his family that if you encountered wolves outside, you had to run and never fight them head-on. Wolves are pack animals, and when they come out in a pack. Shoo, keep it down. Zhongyu spotted tracks in the distance again, worried that loud voices would attract the mountain dogs. He already had no intention of continuing forward and planned to head back the way they came. If Zhonglu weren't with him, he might still try, but if anything happened to Zhonglu, it would be no joke. Bro, I'm a little scared. Zhonglu hunched his neck and instinctively moved closer to Zhongyu, his eyes becoming unsteady. The next moment, he felt a dark shadow flash past on his left. He turned his head to look, but there was nothing there. Suddenly, Zhonglu felt a chill at his neck. When he turned to look, a wolf covered in gray fur and baring its fangs was staring at him. Zhonglu wanted to speak up and warn him, but remembering that he couldn't talk loudly, he immediately covered his mouth and patted Zhongyu on the shoulder. 2, 3. Zhongyu also noticed the mountain dogs, and his expression grew tense. There were 4 mountain dogs in total. Judging from their snarling expressions, they were probably out looking for prey. Mountain dogs are especially hungry in early winter, and once they encounter prey, they won't give up. Now this is trouble. Can you climb a tree? Zhongyu pulled out his dagger and held it in a reverse grip. There just happened to be a tree nearby that could be climbed, so he told Zhonglu to climb up and hide. He would think of a way to deal with the 4 mountain dogs in a moment. Why yes. Zhonglu nodded frantically and scrambled toward the tree beside him. But he was too panicked, and after several tries, he still couldn't make it up. In the end, he only managed to climb up by stepping on Zhongyu's leg. Bro, be careful. Zhonglu looked fearfully at the approaching mountain dogs, clutching the trunk tightly and trembling. For just a bit troublesome. Zhongyu spread out his body. When dealing with wolves, you couldn't show weakness. You had to make yourself appear strong. Slowly, he loaded a dart into the blowgun and aimed at the nearest mountain dog. Oh whoa. With a wolf howl, the 4 mountain dogs attacked at the same time. Cooperating with each other, their bodies crisscrossed as they quickly closed the distance to Zhongyu. Watching from the tree, Zhonglu's heart leaped into his throat. Facing the attack of 4 wolves, what were they supposed to do? Whoosh. Faced with the 4 wolves, Zhongyu stayed calm and did not panic. He took a deep breath, puffed out his belly, and then blew hard. The dart shot out faster and more accurately than before. Like a fired bullet. It viciously pierced the eye of the first mountain dog charging at him. One was taken out instantly. Bro, be careful. Gripping the tree trunk, Zhonglu looked down in worry. 3 mountain dogs leaped into the air, pouncing at Zhongyu like vicious tigers. If he got bitten, wouldn't his body be torn into pieces? Facing the lunging mountain dogs, Zhongyu stepped back and swung the blowgun sideways with his right hand, striking one of them. A crisp crack rang out. The blowgun snapped into 2 pieces, and only half remained in his hand. After that one strike, Zhongyu advanced instead of retreating, pushing off hard with his foot to evade the bites of the other 2 mountain dogs. He targeted the mountain dog that had been knocked back and viciously drove in the broken section of the gun tip. Woo! With a mournful cry, the second mountain dog was taken down. The scene left Zhonglu on the tree completely dumbfounded, fighting 4 wolves barehanded. And he had even killed 2 of them. Who would believe it if they hadn't seen it with their own eyes? Oh woo! The mountain dogs that had missed their target did not feel fear because of their companions' deaths. Instead, they became even more frenzied. The 2 mountain dogs darted left and right, biting at Zhongyu's hands and feet at the same time. Zhongyu gripped the dagger in a backhand and stabbed at one of them, but the sharp tip got jammed tightly between its fangs. Seizing the opportunity, he stepped forward with his right foot, drove up his knee and raised his elbow, unleashing a Bejiquan heart-piercing elbow strike. As a special mercenary, he was proficient in many forms of ancient martial arts and combat techniques. Among them, Bejiquan was the most powerful in close combat. Against beasts like mountain dogs, there was no need to hold back at all. Crack! A crisp sound rang out. The mountain dog struck by the elbow fell to the ground like a kite with its string cut. Its breastbone caved in, dead beyond doubt. The third mountain dog was killed. Swish! At that moment, the claws of the last mountain dog brushed past Zhongyu's shoulder, its fangs only half a meter from his neck. Up in the tree, Zhonglu stared wide-eyed, his heart pounding. No longer caring about his fear of the mountain dogs, he jumped down and flung out his back basket, casting it straight at the mountain dog. Thud! Zhonglu hit the ground hard, grimacing in pain. When he got up, he saw that the back basket had already been pushed aside, and a pair of green vertical pupils were staring at him. The next moment, he saw Zhongyu pounce like a starving tiger and drive the dagger into the mountain dog's throat. Stab! 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 Zhongyu thrust several more times in a row, only stopping once the mountain dog stopped moving. He breathed heavily, panting, and gave Zhonglu a thumbs up. Not bad. The fact that he could react to that scene just now showed that his ancient martial arts and fighting skills hadn't been practiced for nothing. If it had been someone else, without his kind of skill, they'd have died long ago. Bro, you're amazing. As fierce as Wu Song. Zhonglu's eyes sparkled as he already saw Zhongyu as a tiger-slaying hero from the books. Just now, he had only dared to act on a hot-headed impulse. If given another chance, he definitely wouldn't dare jump down. But Zhongyu had taken the initiative to hunt them down, killing all 4 mountain dogs by himself. Thinking about what had just happened, it was damn thrilling. Deal with the meat first. We can't stay here long. Zhongyu didn't get carried away with pride, and his eyes remained vigilant. Wolves are pack animals, and there might still be more around. The smell of blood on the ground had already spread, so he needed to quickly deal with the 4 wolves. Bro, you're really skilled at butchering meat, way faster than the village pig butcher. Zhonglu dragged a wolf over and watched Zhongyu gut it. That technique could only be described as smooth and flowing. One slice and one pull, and the belly was opened up, with the organs and intestines mixed with bloody stench pouring out all at once. He knew this was called cleaning out the cavity. Because if a dead prey animal wasn't bled in time, the meat would turn gamey and foul and become inedible. Usually the internal organs weren't wanted. Hang these up in the tree. After draining the blood, Zhongyu went on to process the other mountain dogs. The internal organs were awful, and no one wanted to eat them, nor could they be sold for money. Hanging them in a tree was to prevent encountering other prey again. They could be used to lure them and buy some time. Of course, there was another explanation. It was an offering of respect to the mountain god. Bro, save me 1 wolf pelt. Zhonglu obediently hung the offal on the tree, then ran back over with a grin. He had heard the elders say that wolf pelts could treat rheumatism. If he took one back and wrapped it around Grandma's feet, then when the weather turned cold, she wouldn't cry out in pain anymore. You sure know that wolf pelts are the best, Zhongyu said with a smile. After dealing with the mountain dogs, he tossed 2 of them into the back basket. He carried the remaining 2 on his shoulders. Each mountain dog weighed a little over 60 jin, and after they got back, skinned them, and removed the unwanted parts, there would still be 200 jin of meat left. That would be enough to eat for quite a while. Add in the 4 wolf pelts, and they could sell for at least 200 yuan, the equivalent of half a year's income for an ordinary family. No, I didn't know, I just heard. Zhonglu scratched his head sheepishly and explained why he wanted the wolf pelt. We'll divide it up when we get back. Let's head down the mountain first. Zhongyu picked up the basket and put it on Zhonglu's back, not planning to stay any longer. If other predators caught the scent of blood and came over, it would be dangerous then. Bro, I did okay, right? Take me hunting with you again next time. Zhonglu kept turning back as he walked, feeling a little uneasy inside. He'd been excited when they first went up the mountain, but when he actually saw the prey, he almost pissed himself. But with this experience, next time he definitely wouldn't be so scared that he'd climb a tree again. You did pretty well this time. I'll take you up the mountain again next time. Zhongyu nodded in agreement, fairly satisfied with Zhonglu's performance. Being able to overcome his fear of wild beasts and jump down from the tree was already very good for someone going up the mountain for the first time. An hour later, Wang Fugui had just returned from the riverside after going out to catch fish, and the moment he turned his head, he saw 2 people coming out of the woods. Before he even had time to greet them, he stared wide-eyed at the drooping wolf heads and said, "Good Lord, where did you get those?" That cry of alarm made everyone else nearby turn around. When they saw the mountain dogs Zhongyu was carrying, they all ran over. Each of them looked more shocked than the last. "Xiaoyu, where did you get these mountain dogs? Good Lord, there are more in the basket too. For in total, where did you find them?" No one guessed that these 4 mountain dogs had been hunted. They all thought they'd just gotten incredibly lucky and found them. "Of course we hunted them. Pretty impressive, huh?" Zhonglu lifted his chin proudly. If he had a tail, it'd already be sticking straight up into the sky. "Oh, stop bragging. You don't even have a gun. How could you hunt mountain dogs?" "Exactly. Don't tell me someone else killed them and left them there, and you just picked them up on the way back. That's not good. If people find out, you'll be in trouble." Even so, quite a few people still looked at them with envy. "We're all from the same village. If you don't say anything and I don't say anything, who'd know where these mountain dogs came from? But the condition is, you have to share some meat. Everyone who sees it gets a share. Split off some meat, will you? I haven't even tasted mountain dog meat before." Wang Fugui reached out, wanting to grab the meat in the basket, but Zhonglu slapped his hand away. "We hunted them ourselves, believe it or not." Seeing this, Zhongyu smiled and explained, "We really did hunt them. It took quite a bit of effort." Hearing Zhongyu say that, everyone's expressions changed. Everyone knew that Zhongyu had once learned hunting from old Qi. Even if he hadn't mastered every skill, he'd learned almost all of it. A skilled hunter could set traps and catch prey even without a gun. And looking at the bloodstains on Zhongyu, it was obvious he'd just come down the mountain from hunting. "Good Lord, you really did hunt them yourselves." Wang Fugui stood there with his mouth open in shock, exchanging glances with the others. No one doubted Zhongyu's words. He still remembered the fish-catching incident from last time. After learning from him, he'd caught quite a lot of fish. Now these 2 had hunted 4 mountain dogs barehanded. It was enough to make anyone green with envy. The fish in his hand suddenly didn't seem appealing anymore. That was several hundred jin of meat, and the wolf pelts could be sold for a big sum too. Thinking of that, Wang Fugui almost blurted out, When are you going hunting again next time? Can you take me along?" As soon as he said it, the others' eyes lit up. These days, whose family isn't scraping by? If they learned how to hunt, would they still have to worry about not having food? Well then, let's go to the purchasing station first." Zhongyu smiled and waved his hand, neither agreeing nor refusing. They were all from the same village, after all, and would keep running into each other. Even though he didn't share any meat, the polite words still had to be said. Watching them leave, Wang Fugui was full of envy and muttered, "If Qi Gui knew Zhongyu was this good at hunting, he'd probably regret it bitterly. Boss, come out and buy some meat." Pushing open the door to the purchasing station, Zhonglu was so pleased with himself that he shrugged off the basket from his shoulder and dropped it onto the ground. Su Qingshu was drinking fragrant duck soup and was startled by the shout. He was just about to get angry when he looked up and saw 2 wolf heads the size of balls, so shocked his eyes nearly popped out. "It's you." When Su Qingshu saw who had come in, he recognized him at once. He'd made 15 yuan from the last wolf pelt, and he hadn't expected to run into him again this time. "Go ahead and tally it up. There are 4 pelts this time." Zhongyu threw the other 2 wolves onto the ground, took out his dagger, and started skinning them on the spot. "Good Lord, you hunted 4 of them." Su Qingshu hurriedly put down his bowl, forgetting that skinning in the shop would be hard to clean up afterward. He watched as the other man skinned 1 wolf pelt in no time, and his gaze turned amazed. To have this kind of skill at such a young age, he had to get on good terms with him. Come, sit down first. I just simmered some duck soup. If you don't mind, have some. Su Chengshu politely went to the kitchen and brought out 2 steaming bowls of duck soup. If it had been anyone else, forget the soup. He wouldn't even let them smell it. Smells so good. Zhong Lu wore a blissful expression as he inhaled the aroma, then grabbed the duck meat from the bowl and started wolfing it down. Zhong Yu, on the other hand, was in no hurry. Only after he had finished processing all 4 wolves did he stand up and say, "Do you buy wolf meat?" He knew wolf meat wasn't easy to sell, but taking it back wouldn't taste good either. If the other party bought it, at least they could get some money for it. Su Chengshu hesitated for a moment. Originally, he hadn't wanted to buy wolf meat at all. Not only does it have a strong gamey smell, it's dry and stringy to eat and gets stuck in your teeth. But seeing that the other party had managed to kill 4 wolves without even bringing a gun, he nodded and smiled. "I'll buy it, 50 cents a gene. But yours is pretty fresh. It was just killed, right? How about I take it for 70 cents? I haven't even asked your name yet, brother. My name's Su Chengshu. In the future, if you hunt anything, bring it all to me, and I'll raise the price by 10% across the board for you." "Fine, 70 cents it is. My name's Zhong Yu. I'll bring everything here from now on." Zhong Yu could tell how warm Su Chengshu was being, much more so than last time. The 4 wolves should come to over 200 gene. He estimated the meat alone could sell for 150 yuan. Add another 200 yuan for the 4 pelts, and this trip's earnings would be at least 350. "All right, brother, just wait here. Once I've waited, I'll go get the money." Su Chengshu moved quickly and, after weighing all the usable wolf meat, went over to the counter. He came back holding 4 100 yuan bills and said, 2 pheasants, 10 yuan. Wolf meat, 243 gene. For the 4 wolf pelts, I'm counting them at 55 yuan each. That comes to exactly 400. 400 yuan. A wolf pelt actually sold for 55. That's 5 yuan more than last time. Don't underestimate 5 yuan. That could buy 25 gene of rice. Leave 1 pelt for me. I want to take it back. Zhong Yu was thinking of keeping 1, since hadn't Zhong Lu said earlier he wanted to take 1 back for his grandma? But before he could finish speaking, he was interrupted. "Bro, how can we do that? Sell them all. No need to keep 1. Zhong Lu quickly put down the bowl in his hand. Hearing that a wolf pelt was worth 55 yuan, his eyes nearly popped out in shock. This thing is worth that much. If he took it back and let grandma put it over her legs, wouldn't he get beaten to death? What family would use something this expensive? All right, then we'll sell them all." Zhong Yu agreed with a smile. He'd thought the kid was being filial, but it turned out he was just distressed over the money. Still, that made sense. 1 wolf pelt could sell for 55 yuan, enough for an ordinary family's income for a month and a half. "No problem. Have some duck soup to settle your stomach before you go." Su Chengshu had a smile on his face. 1 extra pelt bought meant 1 extra profit made. What's 20 yuan? 1 trip to the county, and he'd make it back just by reselling. It'd be even better if he could build a closer relationship with Zhong Yu. This guy clearly had real ability. To do business, you needed brains and vision. Otherwise, his uncle wouldn't have handed the purchasing station over to him to run. "We're off. We'll come again next time if we have goods." After finishing the soup, with 4 100 yuan bills in hand, Zhong Yu walked to a place where no one was around and began dividing the money. According to hunting rules, whether or not someone directly took part in the kill, they were still entitled to a share of the meat. Since this was Zhong Lu's first time entering the mountain, although he hadn't contributed much, he could still take 20% of the profit. "This 100 is yours. Next time, if you can hunt prey yourself, you'll get even more." Zhong Yu pulled out a 100 yuan bill and handed it to Zhong Lu, stuffing the rest into his money pouch. He should have been given 80 for 20%, but since there was no way to make change, he was given 100 directly. The extra 20 didn't matter. "Bro, I love you to death." Zhong Lu took the 100 yuan bill with quickened breath, his hands trembling with excitement. He had thought getting 50 would already be pretty good, since he'd hardly done anything this time. Zhong Yu was the one who had killed the wolves. Hey, stay away from me. I don't like men." Zhong Yu shoved away Zhong Lu, who was pouncing toward him, in disgust, while thinking about what he should buy to take back later. He was carrying 300 yuan on him. He had to buy something tasty for the 2 little ones at home. Then I'll head back first. If my dad finds out that 1 trip into the mountain can earn this much, he might even want to come along next time. Zhong Lu carefully tucked the money into his clothes, then clutched it tightly. He looked just like a thief. After watching Zhong Lu leave, Zhong Yu went back to the purchasing station once more. He bought 2 hair clips and some melon seeds and candy, spending less than 1 yuan. Then he walked toward home. At the same time, a limping man was standing at the gate of Zhongyu's house. He banged on the door and shouted, "Zhongyu, now that you've grown your wings, you need your old man to come and invite you home. Is that it? Get out here and come with me now, or I won't acknowledge you as my son." Lin Wanner was cooking in the room. Hearing the noise outside, she immediately went out. When she opened the door and saw a strange man, she asked tentatively, "You are? Why is it a little girl? Where's Zhongyu? Tell him to come out." The man looked puzzled. Wasn't this house Zhongyu's uncle's? Why were there girls here? Huh, and more than one. No wonder that ungrateful wretch left home. So he'd found himself a sweetheart out here. "Sis, who is he?" At that moment, Lin Xiaoqing also heard the noise and came out. Seeing the burly man in front of her, she grew wary. "I'm Zhongyu's father. Stop the nonsense. Tell Zhongyu to come out." The man was getting a little impatient. He had been standing at the door for so long, yet the two girls still didn't invite him in. And with such poor judgment, they still wanted to marry into his family? Dream on. Brother, you went out and hasn't come back yet. Why don't you come in and sit for a while? As soon as she heard he was Zhongyu's father, a smile immediately appeared on Lin Wanner's face. She opened the door and let the man in, then asked her younger sister to pour him some water. "Smells so good. What is that scent?" As soon as the man entered, he caught a familiar aroma, and his eyes lit up with greed. In the blink of an eye, the bowl on the stove was piled high with white steamed buns. It had been so many years that he had nearly forgotten that smell. Yet that ungrateful wretch was actually eating food even he couldn't get. "Uncle, you must be hungry. I'll get you two to eat first. Brother, you should be back soon." Lin Wanner didn't dare neglect the man and brought over the bowl filled with steamed buns. She had just picked up 2 steamed buns when she heard a displeased rebuke. "So stingy. Are you feeding a dog? Who can get full on too?" The man snatched the bowl from Lin Wanner's hands, glared at her, and started wolfing down the buns. "Sis, those are our steamed buns. Brother-in-law hasn't even eaten yet. How is he eating them?" Lin Xiaoqing was unhappy. Watching the buns in the bowl disappear one by one, she immediately rushed forward, wanting to snatch them back. "Little sis, he's Brother Yu's father. It doesn't matter if he eats them." Lin Wanner stopped her younger sister, afraid of offending her future father-in-law. "Zhongyu was raised by me. So what if I eat 2 of your steamed buns?" The man's expression was extremely displeased, thinking that after he finished eating, he would teach this future daughter-in-law a proper lesson. She had no idea how to respect her elders, and even wanted to snatch his buns. Just then, footsteps came from outside. Zhongyu had only just stepped through the door when he saw a figure that filled him with disgust. He frowned and walked in, staring at the man with a toad-like face and saying, "Chi, go away, you shameless bastard. You still dare come here to mooch food and drink."